Hey guys, today we're gonna be reviewing the brand new brushless, super powerful yet light NK180 Professional. This motor, I didn't pay for it, but if you've seen any videos of mine, I'll tell you what I think. Doesn't matter how I was able to get my hands on the product. It has a lot of good stuff going for it, some not so good, but it's not a big deal. Today, let's just go over the pros and cons of this motor. Let's start with the obvious. This is a brushless 24-volt motor. And what does that mean? Well, 24-volt motors tend to be more efficient than a 12-volt motor. It's gonna be able to draw less power yet go at the same speed. So that means you won't need such a crazy battery. And 24 volt is kind of like the sweet spot between a 12 volt and a 36 volt system, because 24 volt is still not that heavy. A 24 volt battery, lithium batteries from Amped Outdoors, which you could save 5% by using coupon code ALIEX5, is still not super heavy. It's light. 50 odd hours could run you for hours and hours. We're gonna go more into detail about the specs and all the stuff in this video, but I'm just trying to make a quick point here. You don't have to go crazy with a 36 volt battery system that is gonna weigh 40 pounds. You could save half the weight by just using a 24 volt system and yet have more efficiency than a 12 volt system. And that brings me to this. This motor is very light. It's under 15 pounds. And I don't feel like it's heavy at all. Compared to the NK300, it is a lighter system. Of course, compared to the Bisbee, it's not. But if you compare this motor to a trolling motor equivalent, for example, a 65-pound thrust trolling motor, it's like less than half the weight, which is huge. And also, it's not cumbersome. It's very, like, this is the motor. Like, if you install this with a quick release system like this on a new canoe or some other kayaks that you may have, it's so easy to just plug it in, take it on the water, do your thing, come back, just one clip, boom, remove it and go about your business. It's very easy to do. And the system works not only with this new canoe quick release, but also with the standard 4-volt shallow anchor system that your kayak may have. And that is one of the negative, and we're gonna touch on that later. The installation process depends a lot on your kayak, and it could be as easy as I just mentioned, or as horrible as you having to become a DIY expert installing motors. The second thing I would like to add, it is amazing that you're able to choose the battery that you want. You could choose from the Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, or you could get two really inexpensive deep cycle 12-volt batteries from Amazon and just put them in series and power this motor. You don't have to get a dedicated battery for this. You could choose your own. And if you already have a battery in your house, that makes it even better, right? Because it saves you money. You don't have to go and buy the battery. But the freedom of choosing your own power source for this is what set it apart from the Torqeedos, from the Bisbee, and from any other motor, really. Well, that's the only two motors out there, really, in comparison, Bisbee and Torqeedo. Because let's say you don't want this motor anymore, you could just sell the motor and you keep the battery. You buy the new version, or you're trading for whatever, you already have the battery. The battery is very useful. I mean, a lot of us have batteries, 12 volts or 24 volts in the house that we have for years, right? So if that's the case, you just need to buy the motor, which makes it very, very attractive at the price point. We're gonna touch more on the price later. But I just find it amazing that you're able to choose your power source. Some people may say, oh, but if everything comes in a package, it's gonna be better, more efficient, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what it is, blah, blah, blah. If you get a lithium battery and you learn your motor, you're gonna be able to get the same output out of that lithium battery that you will get from a complete system. Because this thing has variable speed. You could go from 1% to 100%. You could figure out what is the sweet spot for your boat to make it go the fastest and the longest. You don't always have to go at 100%. You could just go 70% or 85 or 90. So you get to choose. Once you learn all those little things, all those how this motor performs exactly with your boat, you're gonna be able to max out the range, max out the speed, make it work for you. Like, you don't need a package. You can make your own package and it just works. It's super smart. This is a 600-watt trolling motor, basically. So it's brushless, and that would be equivalent to a 65-pound regular trolling motor. The speed range on this thing will go from, sorry, it's hot here, from 4.5 miles an hour with me on the NK180, which is a small boat that's about 41 inches wide, 10 feet, almost 11 feet long. 4.5 miles an hour. My son was on it. He's under 150 pounds, and he was able to go at about 5 miles an hour. Or if you put this on something like the Shearwater 125, which is a lighter boat, more efficient on the water than an 010, less stable, of course. But on that boat, I clocked myself at 5.6, even 5.7 miles an hour at times. And Andres would probably be around that 6 miles an hour range, which is what Newport vessel advertises as the maximum speed, 6 miles an hour. And like I said, you're just gonna get that if you're under 150 pounds. If you have like under 150 pounds of total weight on the boat, right? The speed depends a lot on the type of boat that you're gonna put this on and how much weight you have on it. But even at 4.5 miles an hour on a heavy, tiny, well, not heavy, but like short little boat, it's powerful. 4.5 miles an hour is powerful. And if you have a more efficient kayak, you're gonna be looking closer to that 6 miles an hour, which makes this very, very powerful, in my opinion. I like to say that the installation process is as easy as eating pie, but you may have allergies. Here's what I mean. Even on this NK180, I thought that it was just gonna be plug and play, but there's some things that you have to work with. Like, for example, this thing, you have to remove it. That comes with a motor, and it was difficult to remove it through this over here. You could do it, but my point is, it's never gonna be plug and play. There's gonna be a little bit of DIY that you're gonna have to do. I would say, in general, if you have a kayak that has a power pole, shallow anchor, 4-bolt system right there in the middle of the stern, it's gonna be a super easy install. Something like the PWR 129, you can install this super easy. If you have something like the Shearwater 125, they're not designed to take a motor like this, right? They're designed to take a Bispy. So the shallow anchoring pole systems are on the sides. So you're gonna have to add a mount to it, like I did. I have several videos making up my own mount and setting this thing up. You could 100% do it, but it's gonna require some DIY. Also, check, there's a bunch of mounts that people make for kayaks. Like, for example, they made mounts to install the torpedoes, and any mount that will take a torpedo will take this, because it's basically the same thing. If you have something like the Old Town 120 PDL, they have mounts for this. Or again, you could make your own. What I would do on the Old Town, the 4-point setup, it's kind of tilting to the left, to the side. Maybe you build a mount over it and then put the mount that would take this on top of that. I would say it's easy to do. It's just that it's gonna require some work, and it's gonna require some trial errors and things like that. When it comes to wrench, if you go ahead and get your 24-volt 50-hour amped outdoors lithium battery and you run this thing at maximum speed, you're gonna go for about 2 hours at that 4.5 or that 5.5 miles an hour. So it's gonna be between 9 miles to 11, 12 miles that you're gonna go on your kayak, depending on conditions. But if you bring that lower, right, let's say you bring the throttle percentage to maybe about 40%, that you're gonna go about maybe 3 miles an hour, you're gonna go for 33 miles, right? Like, you're gonna go for a long while. And trust me, nobody's going 33 miles on a kayak. You're not. You may say you will, but you won't. It's simple as that. If you go on a multi-day camping trip, well, you gotta prepare for that. That is different. But on a normal fishing day, you're not doing 33 miles. Let's talk about the cons, because there's always issues with anything. This particular motor, sometimes I want to put it at maybe 5%, 10%, even 15% power to go really slow, but it makes such a disturbing sound that I'd rather go 40, 50%, go a little faster and not have to hear that sound. That is me, guys. Maybe that doesn't bother you, but it does bother me. I don't know why it does that. The Bispy does the same thing. If you go at speed 1, it just makes a crazy sound that is not like, what's the point? I don't know what is causing that. It's not a deal breaker because again, you could go a little faster, and really the sound that you're getting is on the back, is on the stern of the boat, it's behind you. You're not gonna be scaring fish in front of you. Anybody that tells you otherwise, you're just pretty much lying to you. It's just one of the things that you hear online, that motor vibration and motor stuff scare fish. You don't know how many times I've been on motors, on kayaks, and the only reason why the giant fish got scared is because I almost crushed it. I almost went over it. And that has happened with giant tarpons, with giant snooks, with big fish. Like, I have scared them because I almost were on top of them, right? So I don't buy this crap about motor making too much noise. Of course, if you're gonna freaking run an outboard and make all the noise in the world, that's different. But this is a tiny motor. It's not gonna make a huge difference. And even that, I would say, if you're fishing on an area where there is a lot of outboard activity, those fish are used to it already, right? They're not gonna get scared just because an outboard passed by. I mean, again, if you're right there and you're fishing an area, there's a school and there's a boat screaming by, of course the fish is gonna get spooked and go away if you run through it. But my point is, the noise that this motor makes is annoying to me, not so much to the fish, because it's not that much noise. The motor itself is not super noisy, but I feel like I have to say that. The other con is the price. Even though I find $999 to be super inexpensive for what you get, a 600 watt, 65 pounds equivalent brushless trolling motor, it is very cheap to me. I mean, if you want that technology on a trolling motor, you're gonna be spending $3,000 to $4,000, maybe $5,000. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, you could always go on Amazon and find some knockoff brand and whatever, but even those will be maybe $600, $700, and will you risk your money for something that you don't know? You don't even know if it has warranty? I wouldn't. You probably won't either. So $999 is not a bad price at all if you already have the battery. Now, when you combine the battery purchase and the motor itself, that's where it gets a little expensive. And yeah, the other issue that I find with this motor is that the steering triangle is gonna break, and the lifting up mechanism is gonna break. Could be better, could be designed better, but really those things are inexpensive to replace. You could buy a better one off Amazon for like 25 bucks or something like that. It's not a big deal to me, but I think they should improve on that because there's room for improvement. 100%. Should you buy this motor? Well, I said 100% yes. If you want a motor that is powerful yet light and gives you a lot of options and installations and ways to install it and things like that, this motor is epic. Now, if you already have the regular NK180, should you upgrade? No, there's no point. I really don't think you should upgrade. If you have a NK300, should you downgrade to this? Well, it depends on your kayak. If you have a Shearwater 125, I would, because why fight with the extra weight and all the stuff of the NK300 when the NK180 Professional would do? If you have a Bisbee, should you upgrade? It depends on your kayak. If you have a PDL drive kayak and you have Bisbee in the rudder, there's no point on upgrading. If you have a Hobie, even a Hobie, I would say Outback, like, why would you upgrade? You use the Hobie fins and you put the Bisbee on the back. Like, there's no point in upgrading. You're not gonna get much for the upgrade. If you have a Torqeedo 1103 is kind of like the NK300. So it's what I just said applied to that. The NK180 Professional comes with a better throttle system now. It's easier to connect it and disconnect it off the motor. The cable is nice. Having that quick disconnect is really cool. And Newport also offers a complete installation kit. Like, they give you even the tools that you need to install this. Remember what I was saying earlier, not every single installation is gonna go the same way, and you're gonna be required to do some DIY. So if you're not up to that, maybe go to a local dealer or a friend that knows how to do stuff and get their help in putting this together. In conclusion, it is a total buy, and you should totally buy it through my affiliate links down below in the description, so you support me. And also there's some coupon codes in there that may help you save some money. See you next time.